Saints placed Michael Thomas on injured reserve today. We answer all of your questions, including one about that on today's edition of The Dot, presented by Matt Bauer's Auto Group. It is the weekly mailbag. I'm Nick Underhill. He's Mike Triplett. And the first question we got is, how do you feel about the Saints' current wide receiver depth, given that Michael Thomas is no longer part of the picture?
Well, it's funny. Before we found out they were placing Michael Thomas on IR, we just had this conversation. While we were doing the roster and seeing who was at practice and saw Michael Thomas wasn't there, I turned to you and I said, thank God this team made the trade it did for Chris Olave, because it has allowed them to be okay with Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry missing as much time as they did. As much as we've said Marquez Callaway and Traquan Smith and last year Deontay Hardy and now Rashid Shaheed weren't good enough to be a 1-2-3, they're perfectly good enough to be your 3-4-5. And getting Landry back would just be a bonus on top of that. But having Chris Olave develop into a number one as quickly as he did has allowed them to absorb these injuries, I think.
Yeah, look, I mean, the funny thing is about this position is that obviously Mike Thomas makes him significantly better, and he was playing excellent before he went down. He looked great all summer. They're a much better team with him than without him. But I haven't looked at wide receiver and felt like, man, this is a problem. And that's a little bit different than other years. Could it be better? Yeah, obviously it could be better. I think Landry needs to come out and prove that he still has something to give. If he does, I think they're in a decent position. They aren't going to thrive the way they should, but they're okay there. All right, and our next one is about Trevor Penning. Someone asked, what is his timeline? I talked to him today, actually. He said that he's running on like an anti-gravity machine. He started out at 30%. He's almost up to his full body weight. Hasn't started running yet in actual ground situations, carrying his full weight or anything like that. He said he does expect to play at some point this season, and he thinks he's going to start practicing in a couple weeks. Obviously, would be a huge benefit for that group. Even if he doesn't get on the field ahead of James Hurst, to get out there, start practicing, allow them to start developing him on the field instead of just in the classroom.
Well, and I think Zach Strief was the one who said this offseason, even if he doesn't beat out James Hurst back when he was healthy, he could be the best jumbo tight end that the Saints have ever had. So if he gets back and just plays that role to get his feet wet, I think it would help the team, and it would help him sort of be a lot more prepared for year two.
And the last one, someone asked, do we see the conservative pass rush again this week? I think the easy answer here is obviously absolutely. You disagree at all?
Well, they're going to have a conservative pass rush, but I do wonder if they learn some things from that sort of just shell, and we don't mind if this play takes 11 seconds that we saw against Atlanta, because we didn't see quite as much of that as against Arizona, and I think they affected Kyler Murray a little better against Arizona than they did Marcus Mariota against Atlanta. So I think they learned some things, but yeah, it's not going to be tee off and blitz Lamar Jackson for sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting this week. They got Brett Hundley in the building. He's playing Lamar Jackson at practice, so he's somebody that has a little bit of familiarity there, and it's an interesting signing to bring him in specifically to prepare for this game. But I'm not sure anybody can really help you get ready for Lamar Jackson, because he is one of the most unique talents in the NFL. We'll see how the team does up against him. For all the coverage of that leading into the game Monday night and more, keep it locked to NewOrleans.Football.